This tale starts with a mysterious man gripping a peculiar gun. His weapon of choice? A pneumatic firearm constructed from plastic and loaded not with bullets but with fragments of glass. His aim is fixed on an unsuspecting office worker. His next move is fascinating. With surgical precision, he takes aim at a passing car, shooting glass particles into its tires. The vehicle swerves out of control, colliding with the office worker and ending his life. A planned accident of such detail turned the driver into an unintentional murderer. After watching the chaos unfold, the man reveals a devilish smirk before disappearing from the scene. Curious to hear the rest of the story? Please subscribe, and now I'll tell what happened next. We're going to explore the world of an undercover killer, one whose specialty lies in making assassinations seem like random accidents. Meet Mike, a master of his craft, operating under an organization of hitmen run by Big Ray, a veteran of the game who's traded his gun for a leadership role. Mike's reputation stands unmatched within the guild. His skill is unparalleled, his methods unique. A memorable character in this world of contract killers is a burly, beard-sporting fellow, whose fiery personality matches his intense approach to his assignments. But his aggressive, showy techniques have gradually fallen out of favor among clientele. Then we have another intriguing character, a scruffy-looking man who specializes in poison. Whether it's poison-infused toothpaste or a cigarette contaminated by his venomous touch, his victims hardly get a chance to breathe before they succumb. Next up are the dynamic duo, Max and Mick, both retired from the Special Forces. Their forte? Orchestrating their kills as simple street mishaps, throwing investigators off their tracks. Then there's Jane, a lethal lady proficient in wielding a katana, and Fred, an overweight older man whose clever approach to assassinations makes him a formidable threat. Fred once eliminated an entire team using an experimental gas. Entering the scene is Milton, a crucial component of the Assassin Guild. Bald and bulky, Milton is the liaison between the clients and the assassins, managing contracts and payments. Given Mike's distinguished reputation, he receives a hefty share of contracts. There was a time when Mike was assigned a task to eliminate a hard-drinking office worker. This man, after polishing off a bottle of wine, was stumbling home late at night, oblivious to Mike's stealthy intrusion. As the man clumsily tried to reach for his watch, Mike was already steps ahead, predicting each move. Just as the man clambered onto the chair, Mike launched into action. Swiftly and silently, he slipped a rope around the man's neck. As the disoriented man struggled, Mike coldly responded to his plea for mercy by knocking the chair from beneath him. His chilling words, "I know who you are. You're worth $25,000, made it clear that for Mike, it's all about the bounty. Good or bad, as long as there's money on the table, Mike was willing to carry out the hit. After the deed was done, Mike snapped a picture for proof and made his exit. His next target? An entire rock band. Mike attended their concert, blending in with the crowd, quietly biding his time as the musicians played their last gig. Spotting the band's exposed power line, Mike cleverly tossed a glass of water onto it. An abrupt surge of electricity swept through the band's equipment, causing instant chaos among the bewildered crowd. After every job, Mike had his own ways of winding down. Nothing extravagant, just a visit to a local pub. He'd slip a couple of bills to the doorman to step away. Inside, he spotted a group of rowdy men harassing an attractive woman. Something about the situation stirred Mike, and he couldn't just sit back. Taking a stand, he began to lay into the men. Unmatched in strength and skill, Mike easily subdued the gang, proving himself a real tough guy. But beneath the professional killer and brawny bouncer was a past marked by victimhood. A moment of retrospection reveals a younger Mike, tormented and chased by a group of bullies, reflecting the familiar story of a hero shaped by hardship. This part of Mike's history gives insight into the complex man he has become. Young Mike was frequently the target of these bullies who demanded his lunch money. Given his humble earnings from selling newspapers, it was hard for him to meet their relentless demands. One day, he saw a man carrying a gas cylinder break into a house. This man was clearly not a utility worker, and soon after he entered the dwelling, it blew up. The man walked away unscathed, which sparked Mike's curiosity. He began to track this man, learning over the course of weeks that he was a professional killer who made his kills look like accidents. The mysterious man was none other than Big Ray. Confronting Big Ray, Mike unveiled the evidence he'd collected and insisted on learning the assassin's trade. He revealed his desperation to retaliate against his tormentors without landing behind bars. Recognizing Mike's determination and stealth, Big Ray saw potential and agreed to mentor him, and so began Mike's transformation into a seasoned hitman. Big Ray showed Mike that it was possible to make a killing appear accidental. Mike took the lead on a test run, sneaking into a target's house when he was away, strategically placing a bill on a high antenna, and then hiding. When the unsuspecting target climbed up to reach the money, Mike sprung from his hiding spot and pushed him off, causing a fatal fall. Mike was thrilled with the success, but Big Ray pointed out his techniques were still raw, captured in footage of Mike's direct push. Determined to become a true professional, Mike absorbed every lesson Big Ray offered, from handling firearms and staging accidental hits to mastering defensive techniques. Over time, Mike evolved under Big Ray's tutelage, almost like a father-son bond, growing into a top-tier assassin within their organization. A notable assignment came from Milton, a task to eliminate a young accountant named Root. The client had offered double the usual fee, wanting it done swiftly. Mike, always the professional, didn't hesitate and accepted the mission immediately. His reputation was on the line, and he was ready to prove his worth yet again. He chose his weapon, a pneumatic shotgun loaded with glass shards. His target was Root, who he studied carefully, calculating the perfect timing. As a car approached just right, Mike swiftly fired, the glass shards piercing the vehicle's tire and causing it to swerve. The unsuspecting car slammed into Root, ending his life in what appeared to be a random accident. Satisfied with his handiwork, Mike strolled away as the terrified driver grappled with the grim reality of the situation. Later that night, Mike received a call from Milton directing him to the designated location where the client had left his payment. However, when he got there, he was ambushed by a novice assassin. Despite the rookie's attempts at various martial arts moves, Mike easily outmaneuvered him. Chiding the newbie's lack of finesse, Mike snidely commented, "You could have taken a shot from a building or set a trap, but no. You come in guns blazing like some street thug. You're an embarrassment to our profession." With that, Mike promptly choked the man, forcefully breaking his neck. He dragged the body to the curb, placed the assassin's head on the sidewalk, and parked his motorcycle next to the body, crafting an illusion of a fatal motorcycle accident. Satisfied with the plausible scenario, Mike retreated to the safety of his home. His quiet evening was interrupted by a phone call from a woman named Charlie. She delivered the heartbreaking news that Mike's former girlfriend, Beth, had passed away. Beth had been a passionate environmental activist, responsible for shutting down numerous polluting factories. Shaken by the tragic news, Mike rushed to the funeral where he met Charlie. She shared the devastating details of Beth's demise. 2 burglars had attempted to rob Beth's place, and when she unexpectedly returned home, they panicked and killed her. A heartbreaking error with a deadly outcome. In their investigation, the police were able to identify the fingerprints of 2 suspects, but before anything could be done, both men met their untimely demise due to drug overdoses. The tragedy compounded when Charlie dropped another bombshell. Beth had been carrying Mike's baby. Overwhelmed by the news, Mike was determined to uncover the truth behind Beth's death. He went to Beth's old apartment, drawing upon his extensive experience to reconstruct the crime scene in his mind. With a practiced eye, he could discern that this wasn't a simple burglary gone wrong, but a calculated execution. In the police files he'd managed to acquire, a notable detail caught his attention. Traces of sleeping medication were found in Beth's bloodstream. The report claimed it was a treatment for a fear of flying, but Mike knew better. Beth had never been afraid of planes. His conclusion was clear. Beth had been drugged and eliminated. The crime scene had been meticulously staged as a botched burglary, with 2 drug addicts set up as the scapegoats through clever use of their fingerprints. His detective work led him to the real culprits, Mick and Mac. Filled with rage, Mike wasted no time in confronting the pair. They didn't deny their involvement, admitting to the deed nonchalantly. They argued that since Mike and Beth weren't together anymore, they were free to act as they wished. What they didn't know was that Beth had been carrying a child. Dismissing Mike with smug indifference, they told him it was all just business. Their disregard for human life stoked Mike's fury, and he didn't hesitate to strike first. Facing off against 2 former Special Forces operatives would be an insurmountable task for most, but not for Mike. Drawing upon his extraordinary skills and the advantage that the narrative bestowed on him, he managed to overpower his adversaries. His training in assassinations had honed his moves to be lethal and swift. He launched an aggressive counterattack, sending Mac flying with a well-placed elbow strike, followed by a hard punch to Mick's stomach and face. He finished Mick with an impressive mid-air 360-degree kick. After dealing with the duo, Mike went to see Charlie, sharing with her his revelations about Beth's murder and inquiring further about Beth's recent activities. Charlie shared with Mike that Beth had a crucial hard drive, the backup of which was tucked away at her parents' house. However, their conversation was cut short by the unexpected arrival of a burly, bearded assassin from the guild, sent to eliminate Charlie. The bearded assassin had a reputation for a fiery temper, and when angered, he was a force to be reckoned with. When the bearded assassin got too close for comfort, Charlie took the opportunity to stab him in the shoulder with a knife, but drawing on his sheer strength, the bearded man managed to retaliate. In the ensuing struggle, he was about to stab Mike when he accidentally fell on his own axe, inflicting a mortal wound on himself. As his life ebbed away, he revealed that it was Milton who had sent him after Charlie. Having learnt this, Mike advised Charlie to go to Beth's parents' house, retrieve the important documents, and then contact him. Mike's next stop was Milton's place, to force out the truth about who had ordered the hits on Charlie and Beth. The answer was shocking. It was an accountant by the name of Kent. Upon obtaining Beth's documents, Charlie met up with Mike again to share more information. As an environmental activist, Beth had set her sights on an Indian oil company, VanCap. The company was initially denied permission to drill for oil, but had allegedly bribed government officials to secure the rights to offshore drilling. Beth's source inside VanCap had been the accountant Root, whom Mike had eliminated earlier. Root had a colleague named Kent who discovered that Root had shared the bribery information with Beth. The company's director, upon hearing this news, ordered Kent to find someone to take care of the problem. Kent had subsequently approached Milton to hire a suitable assassin. Kent also had recorded his entire conversation with Milton, which he handed over to Mike. Just as he was digesting this information, Mick and Mac burst onto the scene. Big Ray, having seen enough of Mike's interference, had ordered his team of assassins to take out Mike, leading Mick and Mac to storm in, guns blazing. Mac, nursing a sore jaw from Mike's punch, was now wearing a brace. Enraged, he hurled a grenade at Mike, but Mike, showing off his football skills, kicked the grenade back at him. The ensuing explosion dazed Mick and Mac. Seizing this opportunity, Mike managed to get control of Mac's gun, and in the confusion, Mick accidentally shot Mac while aiming for Mike. With Mick disoriented, Mike grabbed a fire extinguisher, spraying him before delivering a knockout punch. However, danger was far from over as a stealthy poison assassin had set his sights on Mike, managing to mount his back and tried to subdue him with a poison-soaked towel. But Mike was quick to hold his breath, counterattacking by stabbing the assailant with his own knife and sending him tumbling down the stairs. Next on Mike's hit list was Fred, an unimpressive assassin carrying an array of tools that were of no use to him. A swift punch from Mike was enough to send Fred sprawling. Mike, keeping his cool, pilfered a poison bandage from Fred's pocket before leaving. The director of VanCap, the Indian oil company, was Mike's next stop. There, Mike encountered a female assassin wielding a katana, dispatched by Big Ray to guard the elderly director. The agile assassin proved a tough match for Mike, her skills rivaling his own, but she was eventually overpowered by Mike's superior strength. The director, in a desperate attempt to save himself, tossed the katana to the female assassin. She went into a frenzy, swinging the sword at Mike, who skillfully dodged each blow, despite his best efforts to defend himself using a lamp and then a suitcase, which he effortlessly sliced in two. Mike managed to wrestle the sword from her grasp and used it against her, a clear case of Mike's incredible survival instincts. Ignoring the director's attempts to bribe him, Mike decisively ended his life. His final confrontation was with Big Ray, who was seething with rage. To further stoke Big Ray's anger, Mike played the recording, which revealed that Kent had been acting under the orders of the director. The recording confirmed that Milton was hired to eliminate 3 people: the company's accountant, Root, Mike's ex-girlfriend Beth, and finally Charlie. The plan that Kent put forth involved hiring a single hitman to take out the other 3 targets. Then, to leave no traces, the hired assassin would be eliminated as well. For such a dangerous and complicated task, they were willing to shell out triple the regular pay. Milton, attracted by the hefty payday, selected Mike for the job of killing Root. However, he knew that Mike wouldn't harm Beth, and so he sent a rookie assassin to take out Mike. Then he handed off the jobs of eliminating Beth and Charlie to other hitmen. Milton's clever strategy involved using less seasoned assassins to take down a seasoned one and then taking out his beloved. One can only wonder how Milton's mind churned out such an idea, but as it happens, justice was served. After all the facts came to light, Milton found himself on the receiving end of Big Ray's wrath. To add to Milton's misfortune, Mike handed him the poison bandage. Unaware of the deadly poison, Milton used it and met his demise within minutes. While the truth was out and everything fell into place, Big Ray was far from happy. Mike had disrupted the balance in the assassin organization, causing chaos. But Big Ray raised Mike, and despite the havoc caused, he couldn't bring himself to eliminate Mike. Instead, he chose to sever all ties with Mike, leaving him to his own devices. Thus, the narrative winds down. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments what you think of the ending of this movie. I guess YouTube didn't show you my other videos. Here are 2 I think you'll definitely like. So, take your pick and watch.